Faster than writing to a letter forum. More thoughtful than angry clickbait. Able to discuss the world's first superhero in comics, film, TV, and more. It is the Supermaniacs. We love to talk about Superman. I'm Fatheree. This is Mike. Mike, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. I made sure to read not just that, but I read the epilogue again. Because my copy of Kingdom Come doesn't have the newer epilogue in it. If people don't know about that one.
Right. Mine doesn't either. But yeah, the JSA Jeff Johns stuff is what you're talking about, right?
Well, yeah, just the epilogue part itself, because I have all 3 volumes of the JSA one. But the what I was interested in is the I think it's the last like 4 or 5 pages at most, which is the let me see if we can bring it up real quick. Which is the 10 years later post epilogue. All the newer versions of Kingdom Come itself have these last few pages in them by default now.
Nice. Okay,
a lot of people
cool.
don't know that.
Well, I did not reread the epilogue, so you can refresh me on that. I know.
Well,
I read it.
It's a series of images. It's not really reading anything. It's just a series of like, this is what, like, because what we have is 1 year later, and then what he did was like 10 years later, 20 years later, 100,000 years later, like that kind of thing. And they're just quick set of images that Alex Ross did as like, and this is what happened even after that. And I'm like, that's kind of fun, but yeah, for some reason, I always thought it was weird that like he did that, and then every version of Kingdom Come that was made after this came out had that attached to it from then on. Because I haven't read this in a very long time, so I don't even remember what happens in it.
You know, the funny thing was rereading the second half of Kingdom Come that we're about to discuss is that I hadn't remembered this stuff as well as I remembered the first 2 issues. There were so many just images and scenes that I totally forgot had happened because it had been.
This is the
long.
one that I actually remembered more than the first half. And the reason for that was that this is going to sound funny because of it. Me and an old high school friend of mine had a Superman Captain Marvel rivalry growing up. And so we talked about the second half of this book a lot.
Yeah. No, I forgot how big of a Captain Marvel story it is.
Yeah, there's you know that pose that he's in the end of the 3rd issue.
Mm-hmm.
Where he's got that, you know, super like fucking like he's like, yeah, that pose. There's they made a bronze statue of it years ago. And the reason I remember it vividly, because again, I used to go to Half Price Books a lot with my friend when we were in college, and we saw it. It was like $100, which is a lot for a college student because we didn't really have a lot of money. And even then, it was like 2009, something like that. And he kept going back and forth about it, and he bought it. He has it to this day. It's in his office where he lives. But yeah, we were obsessed with the second half of Kingdom Come because of the fact it involved the fight between our 2 guys, like for DC, because he's one of the rarest people of all, which is a Captain Marvel #1 fan. It's not they don't exist very often.
I've met a few on occasion, but yeah, it is not a common occurrence.
They're a dying breed, to be honest. Most of them, and a lot of them refuse to call him Shazam, which is fair because I still also refuse to call him Shazam.
I mean, I really want to call him Captain Marvel, but
I still remember when I watched Shazam. I was originally going to go watch the movie Captain Marvel, and then I was doing an oil change, and I saw they had the preview showings for Shazam that day. So I went out with a plan to watch Captain Marvel, but I watched Captain Marvel instead.
A very similar thing happened to me. I'd already seen both Shazam and Captain Marvel, but they were both still playing in theaters at the same time. And I was taking my ex to go see the Marvel Captain Marvel, but the only tickets they had left were on like the very front row. and
Oh,
we didn't want to sit there. So I was like, you know what? You would really like Shazam, so let's go see the DC Captain Marvel instead. And we had a good time
yeah.
with that.
I still don't like the fact that they try calling him Shazam and everything
It's
because
just
it doesn't make
dumb.
any sense.
He can never say his name. He can't introduce himself to anybody.
Yeah, it's dumb. It doesn't like there's no like no one ever there's never a scene and even in the first movie where he says he's able to tell people what his name is. It's just really dumb. There's
Yeah,
some great comics that make fun of it. There's it's a newer one because some people still try getting him to say Captain Marvel, but they won't say it like fully. There's that. It's a panel that goes around. I read it. I don't even remember the context of the scene, but he's got like this friend of his, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna imbue you with power." He's like, "Say my name." He's like, "Captain Mars." He's like, "No, the other one." It cracks me up every time because it's him being like, "Look, shit, we can't say that anymore, dude."
yeah, that's pretty good.
Now they try. Mark Waid's tried to get the captain to stick.
But wasn't that a Bendis thing? Didn't Bendis come up with that?
I think they both are just like, we want to say Captain Marvel really badly, but no one lets us. So we're just trying to say the Captain.
What about Captain Thunder? Like, what would be wrong with that? Like in Flashpoint,
I think it's because he died brutally.
they're trying to forget about that.
Yeah, everyone's trying to pretend that never happened.
Well,
I think they
uh,
joked about it in the other one.
but yeah, Captain Marvel, actually called Captain Marvel in Kingdom Come, and has a crucial role in the climax of this epic
He's
classic
on the
story.
cover of this one,
Yeah,
or the one I have at least. I don't know what the new covers are because this is. I think this was the cover of book 4 actually. The one
that's
that's on there.
the same trade that or at least like the same cover that I grew up reading.
Yeah, this is like the original trade. This
Yeah,
is a '90s trade, I think. That's why it's in such like poor condition. My brothers
well
got it for
read.
me for Christmas years ago.
Before we dive into discussing the second half of Kingdom Come, we should acknowledge there was some pretty big DCU movie news today.
Yes, I sent it to you pretty the second I saw it because I was just like, well, my brain is on fire thinking of the possibilities, and it's just the cover of whatever it is. Um,
But with one very deliberate image.
yes, it's a I'm not. We're not trying to be coy. I don't know why I'm trying to be coy. Because there's, it's not like there's anything else. What it is that James Gunn had released this photo on everything. It's like this was on Facebook, this was on Blue Sky, this was on Threads. It's supposed to be the script draft for Man of Tomorrow, and it's got this picture on it of a man's of like the inside of a man's head with the brain very prominently on there.
Yeah, like something
And
you would see in like an anatomy book that was
yeah,
describing the human brain.
and everyone who's a Superman fan or just even like a small DC fan lost their collective ass minds. Um, I'm super excited because if anything, this all it's done is it's pretty much confirmed Brainiac is a thing without confirming Brainiac's a thing. There's one person though that said something that made me be like, if this happens, that'd be a great misdirect. I doubt it, but it would be really funny if it was the Ultra Humanite.
Oh, that would be hilarious. And we know that James Gunn loves some of the Golden Age Superman stuff because he's pulled some stuff from that with like
The Ultra Humanite's like I think Superman's actual first supervillain is the Ultra Humanite. So that would be hysterical. It would be a hell of a misdirect, and I wouldn't even be mad if he did that.
yeah, no, that would be cool. I would like that. But I do think we are due for Brainiac having a live action cinematic debut. They've never used him in a live action movie.
No, he's been on every other live action show except for like in the past like since Smallville. Since Smallville upwards, he's shown up at least once in the live action thing.
Even
He's
Lois and
been
Clark. I mean, I'm sorry, Superman and Lois even kind of snuck them in there in the final season a little bit.
yeah, according to Bitsy Tulloch, he was going to be part of whatever if they made another season. It
Hmm.
was going to be like a whole thing. But they're like, well, we don't have time, but we're gonna put him in here so in case, who knows, maybe something will happen. But instead, they're like, well, once they realize they're gonna get canceled, they're like, well, we're gonna use him. Just let us use him, even though he's not like really him necessarily. Um, yeah, everything from Smallville upwards has a Brainiac in it. Like live action wise. The reason I say that because Lois and Clark doesn't have a Brainiac in it. And I'm 89% certain that Superboy doesn't have one either. But I haven't seen the Superboy show in a very, very long time.
Yeah,
But
but you're probably
Smallville,
right.
Smallville had it. Krypton had a really,
Krypton,
really good
he
one.
looked great. He looked
He
great.
looked amazing on Krypton. And yeah, like you said, Superman and Lois had one. But none of the cinematics, not a single cinematic one has ever used Brainiac. There were rumors for years. I don't know how much of it's been substantiated that Brainiac would have maybe been the villain to Superman 5. He might have been the villain to Superman Flyby in some versions. But no one ever got a chance. Actually, wasn't he supposed to also be I remember now. The biggest one that he didn't become the villain for because it never happened was Superman Lives. He was supposed to be the villain for Superman Lives.
Yeah, he's always been used in these proposed movies that don't get made.
Which is crazy because but it shows how popular he is that the studios have consistently been like, well, why don't we use Brainiac? And then somebody vetoes it somewhere down the line. I have a feeling like I know Man of Steel wasn't written by Snyder. It was written by
David S.
David S.
Goyer.
Goyer, and was being made by Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan was supposed to make that movie. So it wasn't like Snyder like vetoed Brainiac or something, but it means that Brainiac never entered the situation again since from the second Snyder was there, because Snyder was like, well, let's use Doomsday. Well, let's use the Dark Knight Returns as a base or something, and then he didn't have any ideas outside of that. It's like he had his Dark Side stuff, but he never. It was clear when you look at Snyder's work that he didn't have an interest of doing that universe for long enough to even consider making an actual expanded universe. Because everybody always gives the Snyderverse shit for existing, but we should get shit for not wanting to be an extended universe. He wanted to tell 4 movies, and that was the end of it, or 4 or 5 movies, and that was it. He didn't want to do anything else. Like,
That's
that
a
was
good
his whole
point.
plan.
Like, if you wanted to have Zack Snyder's vision, it was always going to be a very temporary thing that was going to have this big, dark, epic ending and then reboot the whole universe anyways.
Yeah, they were trying to make it a universe by making, because he was never going to direct like Aquaman or Wonder Woman, The Flash. Like, all those movies were being given to other people, and it was clear that he had a beginning, middle, and end in his head. And so, and in his mind, Superman was only part of his stuff. It's because they never made any other He never had an idea for a Man of Steel 2. Everybody keeps going, what about Man of Steel 2? He didn't have an idea for Man of Steel 2. It was Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Justice League 1, 2, and 3. That was his entire plan. And if they wanted to keep going after him, that was up to them. But the problem with that is Batman would be dead in that universe, and these people tend to forget about that he dies at the end of his stuff. So Brainiac never would have happened, like, because Snyder never had any interest in Superman's extended anything. He was like, he didn't even write Man of Steel, so Brainiac probably never would have happened, and if it did, it would have been way past him, type of thing. So I'm glad that DCU exists, not just because Snyder's vision got kind of muddled pretty quickly, but because Gunn is known for being able to be like, I'm just going to use even the most obscure character, and Brainiac's not an obscure character, which is the reason why I know Gunn's going to do it, because just like the rest of us, he wants to see Brainiac in all his glory on the screen. He did it with Starro. He did it with even like these little characters here and there throughout like the DC universe.
Yeah, or like on the Marvel side of Marvel side of things, he had the High Evolutionary as kind of
Yeah,
his
the high
final boss of the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
exactly, and then the living ego, the living planet, like.
Yeah,
Like these aren't characters that are like huge type of thing. Calendar Man's in the Suicide Squad, played by his brother, tells somebody to go fuck themselves, type of thing. Like Weasel, like he's got all these characters that like no one ever knew who these people. Like they weren't household names, and so Brainiac's a household name when it comes to the DC universe, and it's a no brainer, pun intended,
uh,
to use him. So yeah, sorry,
but
that's a lot to just say Brainiac.
Joel in the live audience is asking who we think should play cinematic Brainiac, but I think that really depends on what kind of version of the character. Are they going to go with the computer program, the AI from Krypton? Are they going to make him an actual alien? Are they going to make him have like this human identity with Milton Fine? The character has been reinterpreted so many different ways in the comics and other mediums that it would really depend on whatever Gunn has in mind.
That's true. That's the thing is that Brainiac has three distinct flavors that everybody knows. One is the green Cullen Brainiac, uh, mostly made famous nowadays by Superman Brainiac, the storyline that Jeff Johns did, which honestly, if I had to make that movie, that's what I would make that basis on, because that one is like that one does both because there's the other Brainiac that's like it's not even post crisis because it still happened during the Silver Age, which is robot Brainiac, which is also famous in the nowadays because of the DC animated universe, where he was always a robot in that.
Yeah, and
And
then
there's a lot of
my
versions of that.
adventures with Superman kind of
Yeah,
did the same
brought that
thing.
brought that idea back.
Yeah.
And so that version of Brainiac's more like an Ultron type of thing because he can put his brain into different things. I know over the years, some post-crisis Brainiac, Milton Fine was just some circus performer who then became Brainiac, and then that Brainiac's interesting because he had like upgrades, so he went from Brainiac to Brainiac 2 to 3, and then it skipped to like Brainiac 11 because he was from the future or some shit like that. Like yeah, it all depends on the Brainiac we want. I wonder if he's going to use the monkey. That's my curiosity. That's what my question is. Is Coco the monkey going to be cinematically used?
I
Because
mean,
I can see James Gunn doing it.
he loves animals, and he already had monkeys in one Superman movie so far.
Maybe
But
that's Zen. Maybe that's how that monkey got. That's how Brainiac gets into the Luthor system.
I mean,
He had a Coco there.
there's a lot of monkey and ape and similar characters that have crossed paths with Superman. If Gunn wanted to go that route, you have Titano and Beepo the super monkey, and um,
I'm having a hard time who I would put as Brainiac though. Like
okay,
legitimately.
I'm gonna say a crazy one just because I know this is an actor that James Gunn has worked with before and would probably want to work with in DC at some point, and people might not suspect this is who you would go with for Brainiac, but Dave Bautista.
Here's the thing. I would love that, but that's more because Dave Bautista, out of all the wrestling actors, is the one that's like legit has been doing his acting chops. Like he's the drama guy. He's actually been doing dramas more than anything else out of all three of them.
But I think it would be such a unique role for him to play. He's talked about like he doesn't want to play just like these dumb brutes. He wants to play deeper characters. And I was like, oh yeah, let's let him play like a super intelligent alien. Just like paint him green, have it like his bald head painted green with like the little like electrical plug things coming out of his head. And yeah, I think that'd be like an intimidating foe for Lex and Superman to have to team up and face off against.
Honestly, the only reason I don't want him to do it is because I really want him to be Hugo Strange.
You've mentioned that, and that's a good idea. I wanted him to be Bane until you pointed out to me that he's lost a lot of his muscle mass and does not.
He wanted to be Bane years ago, but they
Yeah.
were like, "We're not really interested in doing anything Bane related right now." I think is what they told him, and he's like, "I guess not." And that, by then by now he's given up on it. He's like, I can't do it now, even if they asked me to do it." I would want to just get like just the most pompous fucking actor, like, and I don't mean like as like the guy themselves is pompous. I mean like a guy who's known for being pompous as hell type actor, like a character. I'm not saying Tom Cruise because that would make it really funny. No, there's like I know there's a lot of like really good actors out there like that are good at playing pompous or even good at playing sinisterly pompous without realizing it. And by that I mean like the other people not realizing it. Like the guy Mads Mikkelsen, for instance. I think he would be pretty good as Brainiac because he has that sort of like allure way of saying things in a way that's like you're like, this guy sounds like he's really smart type of thing, and he can be pompous about it, but you could see yourself listening to him for a while, like just monologue forever.
Yeah,
Type of
Joel's
thing.
suggesting Hugh Grant, but yeah, like any guy who's good at like those classic villain characters would make
Hugh
a good
Grant would be a lot of
Brainiac.
fun. Yeah, no, there's Brainiac because like you said, it all depends on who it is, or what version of Brainiac it is,
Yeah.
is what I would say. Because I would, if you did like robot Brainiac, and I mean like purely robot Brainiac, there's a lot of great voice actors or people, or even just normal actors who do voice work that would be great at it. Hell, even the guy from My Adventures of Superman would be. You could just get him again, type of thing. He's very good, and he is one of the bigger actors in that show.
But we'll probably get some actual casting news in the next few months if they're going to be shooting this thing. I think they're starting in like late spring next year. So
Yeah, and he said that it's easier to make this than it is Superman, which I think you told me if I remember correctly.
I don't think I mentioned that to you, but it makes sense because you know they've already done a lot of the casting, they've built a lot of the sets, they've done a lot of the world building.
Yeah,
Probably way
that's
easier to write, probably
like
way
the
easier
hardest
to.
part with getting Superman in any really Superman and his cast.
Mhm.
Once you get that done, you just need because all you really do need to do is get like one or two new people each time, like and just add. Because the great thing about the creating a universe type sequels is that you're just like, well, I already have these guys, so I just need two or three new ones every single time I make a new movie. Because I remember they did that Super Mario Brothers, the Super Mario movie, a Galaxy movie announcement. Like, oh, by the way, everybody we got before is coming back, and they made it seem like a big deal, but that's pretty normal. But it's like,
I
but
assumed
their way
everyone
of
would come back.
saying,
Yeah.
yeah, it's their way of saying is like, look, we already got everybody. We just need to add the extras, which is like Rosalina probably, and then whoever the villain is going to be, type of thing, and like one or and maybe the star thing. I guess I don't know the Lunas, but that's kind of it. They don't need to worry about the important like main character unless the person leaves, but that's pretty rare nowadays because it happened all the time during the 90s and the 2000s. You know, Batman. There's 3 Batman for 4 movies, and then there were Jake Gyllenhaal almost took over Spider-Man 2, like is another good example
Yeah,
of
because
that.
Tobey Maguire hurt his back. Did you see that Tom Holland just had an accident shooting
He
the new
did, yeah.
Spider-Man?
And
So,
that would have been, and he could quit at any minute, and if he wants to, he's like, oh, dude, I can't do this anymore. And somebody's like, well, guess we'll get another white guy to play Spider-Man. So it can happen. You never know.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, even with like the new Captain America movie, I mean, I know there was a death involved with Bill Hurt, but they recast Thunderbolt Ross. So
Yeah, we've had 2 roadies, 2 Thunderbolt Rosses, um, 2 Bruce Banners, and this is all just the MCU. That's just the MCU itself. So it's like, yeah, it's so for if I doubt it'll happen here. I doubt there's going to be irreversible like decisions made because that David Cornsweet yells at somebody or something on set or something. So I'm
no,
not too
they
worried
got
about
him
that.
locked up in a multi-movie
He would have to do
contract
something
deal.
really heinous
Yeah.
for them to be like, it'd be like Superman yells the N word at somebody. Yeah, then they gotta fire him, type of thing. But so he's probably fine.
Yeah, he seems like a sweet dude. I mean, like I know he's an actor. He could be an asshole, and he's just good at putting on an act. But he seems like a nice guy. I think we're in probably in safe
Everything I
hands.
see about him is like not only the nicest thing, but just as nerdy as Henry Cavill was.
One thing I
Because
don't like
his is
about
on the
him,
Star Wars ends.
he's from Philadelphia, and he's a big Eagles fan. And
He's an
like,
Eagles fan.
yeah, like I don't keep up with NFL really, but just hearing that, like, oh, if you like the Philadelphia Eagles, like I like. Just,
My,
automatically makes me like you a little less. Sorry.
my girlfriend loves the Philadelphia Eagles. In fact, I just watched the game with her family yesterday.
Are they from Philly? Like,
She's from that area. She's originally from Delaware, which again
okay,
she also got excited about because she found out Metropolis was in Delaware.
yeah.
But she's no, she's a big fan of her and her family are a big fan of the Eagles, and so I didn't know that, so she's gonna be very excited about that.
Oh,
It's gonna
okay,
be
yeah.
another thing she's very
Let her
excited about.
know.
It's also the reason she's a big fan of Abbott Elementary because they're all Eagles fans in that show, and it's the only in I have for the Always Sunny cast because they're also Eagles fans. Because she's not a fan of that show for good, and honestly, it's fair. I love that show, but I get it.
Well, now that
That's
we've,
who they should get as Brainiac. Glenn Howerton. I'd totally watch a Glenn Howerton Brainiac movie.
yeah, I mean, I would trust in Gunn enough that I would go into that open-minded and be like, you know what, this might actually really work.
He was almost Star-Lord. Did you know that?
I didn't know that, so yeah, he might be on Gunn's short list for something.
Glenn Howerton was this close to being Star-Lord.
Although, to be fair, I do remember now, it sounded like they auditioned a lot of people for Star-Lord. It took a really long time to...
According to Chris Pratt and James Gunn and Glenn Howerton, it was between the two of them.
They were the final two.
They were the final two at the end. And it would have worked, in my opinion, if they did it. But I feel like It's Always Sunny would have ended right then and there.
Our Smallville Lex Luthor, Michael Rosenbaum, was even in the running for Star-Lord at one point.
That's true. And he put him in the movie eventually.
Yeah, because he's friends with Gunn. Like they know each other. He plays
ones of the Ravagers. In I think all three of them actually. I think in the third one they cheaped out on his effects, so he's kind of in the background. No, yeah, Michael Rosenbaum. His Lex is still. It was even the Lex, like Michael Holt's Lex. He loves that. Wouldn't it be funny if they got James Marsters back to be Brainiac? That would be kind of funny.
You know, I used to think he would be a great live-action Lex, but he's, older now than they probably want to go with casting.
Yeah, he still would have been a really good Lex, but his Brainiac is still like top tier shit. Still love him. That guy's great. Okay, sorry. We've talked long enough about this, I assume. We'll have a lot more to say about this once it starts happening.
Yeah.
More.
We talked 27 minutes about just the cover of the script that James Gunn posted.
Page.
So.
And I was almost going to keep going until I was like, we need to talk about this comic.
Well, let's talk about Kingdom Come, the chapters 3 and 4, the second half of the story.
So my book calls chapter 3 Up in the Sky.
Up in the Sky. So this is the one where we just left off. Superman has returned back to action after his temporary retirement and has made the controversial choice to build what they start just referring to as the Gulag, where he is corralling all of the naughty metahumans that are misbehaving.
The worst part is everyone calls it the Gulag. Like, and even Superman's just like, can we not fucking call it the Gulag? Well, my favorite part is, okay, well, let's talk about the first page before we go.
Beautiful page, yeah.
Part is this vision of a heavenly figure surrounded by lightning, and it's a good thing the pastor isn't a big fan of comic books, because he would have immediately thought about who that would be. If I had that vision, I'd be like, well, of course that's fucking Captain Marvel. Who else is that going to be?
And it's quoting some stuff from the Bible, like the when he had cried, 7 thunders uttered their voice. Like, that's biblical stuff, right?
As far as I know, here's the thing. I don't know enough about the Bible to say if these are real or not. But in the context of the story, it's supposed to be, minimum. So I'm going to take Alex Ross's dad at his word. Again, I know it's not actually Alex Ross's dad, but still. I have to take... I always took it at face value. I have someone I could ask about it, but I never once bothered asking them about it. But everything they say lines up with the story, which is the reason why this works so well. And the fact that it's what makes me, pretty sure that it is all part of the Bible is, it's a 7 thunders, because it's not like Shazam is seven letters. It's like, what, 6 letters?
6. But then you have the exclamation point at the end.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. I don't know how that works. Chocolate egg creams or whatever. Yeah, and so I love that the pastor. I love that the pastor keeps asking the Spectre. He's like, "Motherfucker, you know what's happening." He's like, "You're the one leading me these things." He's like, "No, I'm. You're the one leading me, dude. I don't know what to tell you." And this the shot of the gulag made me laugh out loud because I forgot
I did
what the
too.
gulag's design was until I turned the page, and I was like, "Come on, Superman, you fucking built the Legion of Doom's dome in the
Yeah.
middle of like not irradiated Kansas anymore, but it was basically irradiated Kansas
Yes, it's like a big
prior to
flat
that point.
desert now, but
You fucking built the Legion of Doom
yeah,
headquarters
it's the Darth Vader helmet thing that
as a
would.
prison for superpowered individuals who do not view life the way you do as well. And then the jailer is fucking Mr. Miracle.
Yeah, I love that use of Scott Free, the ultimate escape artist, as the warden. And I forgot that they did this, but the way that Alex Ross draws him in Kingdom Come, he looks a lot more like Highfather, who is his like actual like bio dad.
Yeah, that's the thing that's great about it is that when we saw Orion, he looked more like Darkseid
Dark side, yeah.
because he was older and who Darkseid is his real father, and in this instance, Mr. Miracle's real father was always Highfather, and it's great because you spoiler technically is that later on you see Highfather and they look pretty much exactly the same. The only difference is one is very old, very much older. Um, but I like that it gets going right away. It's like, well, we made the gulag to like fill some places that people aren't like following my lead type of thing. Also, we filled that motherfucker beyond capacity like seconds later.
Yeah, it loaded up very quickly. There were a lot of '90s style anti-heroes running around the Kingdom Come universe apparently.
Yeah, and it's like it's hard to be on Superman's side when you read this part because he's got a Nosferatu locked up for one, just in the middle of all these people, and also like yeah, they have all these guards. Gog is in there, or Magog is in there, like really, like he's depressed because he doesn't want to do anything, and there's just this Superman hologram condescendingly kind of talking to them, being like, "Hey, you guys have been very naughty, but if you listen to old man Superman, I'll let you out." And you're like, "Man, fuck this." I'm a big fan of Superman. If I was locked up, I still would have been pissed off at Superman.
This is a scene that I've thought about a lot since first reading that because it does kind of bother me here when the Superman recording that's trying to like teach these anti-heroes, like superheroics 101, but he says in this world there is right and there is wrong, and the distinction is not that difficult to make. And that kind of bothered me because it's like, well, Superman should be a guy who he's a smart enough guy. He's more of a nuanced thinker. He doesn't necessarily see everything in black and white. Like he does go out of his way to side with right over wrong, but even Superman understands that, sometimes it's not always clear to people. But rereading this now, I was reminded that, oh, that's actually kind of the point of the story, is that right now we're seeing a Superman who had forgotten that it's not always as easy for everyone else to see that clarity as it is for him.
Yeah, the thing I forgot about the second half of the story is actually it brings up full circles to what I talked about in the first half of the story, which is that Superman doesn't see himself as human throughout the story. He his the love of his life died in a vicious attack on the Daily Planet. His parents are long dead. He has Jimmy Olsen and everybody is definitely dead after that attack on the Daily Planet. The only person who survived it, according to the story so far, is Ron Troop, and Ron doesn't seem to be very happy about it either. Because Ron's like, well, if Superman had done something like this before, maybe everybody would have survived, type thing. So Superman's lost like everything essentially, one that connected him to what you would call the human world essentially, except for, and even the people that were like his friends didn't connect him that way because look, Batman may be the most human of them all, but he's still Batman. That's you're borderline talking to a god still when it comes to Batman, which is the reason why even Superman's like, well, you look, Bruce, you're my friend, but are you a normal guy? Are you? Are you sure? Type thing. And so he was just like, I'm Cal. I am the last son of Krypton. Clark Kent is not a thing anymore. And it shows 1,000% more in the second half than it did in the first half.
I also had forgotten that the character Captain Comet was in Kingdom Come, and I guess he's one of the prison guards at Superman's gulag.
Yeah, I was trying to remember which one Captain Comet was.
He's the guy in like a red spacesuit. He's basically like the same character as Adam Strange, right? He's just like
Yeah, I thought it
a
was Adam
space dude.
Strange. Is that? Hold on, I'm looking up this guy's name real quick.
But yeah, Captain Comet. He was in 52.
Oh, this guy, Adam Blake. Da-da-da-da-da. So he was like first. Yeah, he's a 1951 character, so he's like really old. He's like super super old.
But I guess that might be one of the guys that Alex Ross has a soft spot for. It like you see like there's a lot of stuff in issue 4 where it's like, okay, that doesn't even make sense, but I can tell Alex Ross is just being a fanboy and wanted to shove this in somewhere. So
No, that's this thing's full of it. I always assumed that was Adam Strange for a long time. So I remember when they're like later on in the book they say something happens to Captain Comet, and I'm like, who? It never occurred to me that's who that was. I
yeah,
assumed that was Adam Strange this entire time.
he's like Adam Strange but with superpowers. I'm not real sure what all his powers are, but he can like fly and
Yeah, it said he
do
was one of
things.
like the first metahumans ever like created.
Yeah,
Because
I
it
guess
was like
that's why.
1950s.
I guess that's why he's in here because there's also a lot of JSA characters in this.
Yeah, this has a surprising amount of JSA characters without having the JSA in it, which I always found interesting, especially considering Jeff Johns and Alex Ross worked together to make not so much a sequel because I'd forgot because when I was trying to find the epilogue, I'd forgot that the ending of that comic takes place just before the direct ending of this comic. Sort of. It's hard to explain without getting to that point. I'll explain it once we get to it. But no, yeah, and so these guys, of course, are upset about being stuck in this thing because some of them are like mentioning some stuff that I'd also forget about, which is that there's a guy here who says, "Who bagged Eclipso? Who toasted Ra's al Ghul? Guys like us, that's who. We saved lives, man." Meaning that during the time frame while he was gone, somebody burned Ra's al Ghul to death.
Yeah. Well, now we know why he has like a son and who seems to be like in command of his forces.
Like it's clear that in Superman's absence, which explain why the guys, is siding with Lex Luthor 100%. He's like, look, these metahumans are fucking crazy. Like Raish was used to fighting like the detective. Instead, he got the Punisher probably at his doorstep for the one day, and just was not prepared for that shit. And like it's Captain Comet puts them in the place because here's the one thing about the thing is that some of these people that are in here, we know why they're in here, and Captain Comet mentions it. It's like you guys shot in the middle of a crowd, right on top of a cable car. Like you guys deserve to be in here, type of thing. Is what Captain Comet. It's the only reason why you don't immediately stay upset with Superman. Is the comic pulls you back to the like, oh, this was the reason why we did this to begin with, type of thing. But then it cuts to the scene right after he beats up this guy named Von Bach.
Yeah, this German dude who like all of his dialogue is in German and it sounds like I don't know, like he's like naming like Rammstein songs or something.
Yeah, what's really funny is that everyone who speaks a different language, they it doesn't say like it's not written out for some of them. For instance, the Japanese samurai here, all of his stuff is in like kanji, or I assume it's kanji. I don't know. There's two different versions of Japanese, but I don't remember the names. I don't know the names of both of them.
But yeah,
But
I can't read either one, so
yeah, the idea is that like whenever he speaks, you can't even type it into Google to say what is this guy saying, type of thing, because it's not written out. Which you can kind of do at least with the German guys. But what I like is that these two people are arguing, And I wish I knew what they were talking about, because there's never a point that says translated, this is what they're saying, type of thing. But it does add to the it adds to the unnervingness of the fact that you have a bunch of people locked up who probably don't even know what each other is saying, and that's just going to cause, tempers to rise even further and further. And I like that it showed that that Lex is watching all this whole time. That Lex is keeping an eye on this gulag, and he's got a plan.
Yeah, he's spying on whatever Superman is doing inside of the gulag, but
Yeah, and then there's
uh
the reveal that Captain Marvel, of course, is there. Well, not the reveal, but you know what I mean. Like the pastor realizing it, and then I love this tribunal of ancient beings. Would you want to explain each one? Because I don't know if I
yeah,
recognize some of them.
it's the wizard Shazam, and then one of the Guardians of the Universe from Oa. Um and I guess it's Ganthet. Yeah, they name check him as Ganthet. And High Father from Orion, and then I think it's supposed to be Zeus.
I think one of them is the Phantom Stranger, right?
Oh
Because
yeah,
I
and
think
then
the
the
guy in a
Phantom
hat.
Stranger, yeah. But those are
Yeah,
the
that makes sense if that's
five of
Zeus,
them.
though. Yeah, that is Zeus. Yeah, you're right. Because
Because he has like a Socrates looking beard with,
yeah, he does like an old school like look of Zeus type thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I
And we
love
know
that
that
they're all there. Yeah,
Wonder Woman's so big in this story that I think they went with Zeus.
that's
Uh,
true. But I do appreciate that Shazam is like, look, the boy is just like there's something like we need to help him. Like something's wrong with him. Like he doesn't like want to leave Billy to his fate type of thing.
yeah, I love this
It's
Shazam who's like, oh, I love him like a son, like a he has like this caring father like relationship, and he's advocating to these other god entity being things.
yeah, and the Spectre's there and they're talking to each other, and the
And
pastor's like,
are
huh?
these supposed to be like together, like these five figures? Like are they supposed to be basically like the whatever is meant to be God in this version of the DC universe when
Well, they're
the
kind of like an Illuminati to the
yeah.
universe, because this isn't the only time this is used in a story. I don't know if it originated from this sort of idea,
I've
but
seen this
I
before
know,
though.
yeah, and because
Other
I've seen
people
it
have done
after
this.
since, because they did it in after Dark Knight Metals. I think there's a scene of these a lot of these specific people talking to each other, being like, well, we need to figure out what to do with the universe. In fact, Dark Knight Metals ends with Wonder Woman joining them, because there's that. You remember that
Hmm.
small gap where Wonder Woman wasn't in comics for a bit, and then her mom was the new Wonder Woman for a bit.
Yeah.
That lasted like a year, I think, at most. But the idea was that Wonder Woman had ascended somehow and was now part of this like little tribunal of people that were like, we help control what happens in the universe, type of thing. And she's like, well, that's dumb. But I like that the pastor's just like, this is weird. Like, like he's like, these people are talking about like controlling the fate of the world, but they don't really, I don't really like. Why should I like? You're talking about things that he feels like he's too low to be dealing with, if that makes sense. And I thought that was very interesting.
But like this,
Um,
the conversation he has with Dead Man, I think has a lot of interesting things in it. It's horrifying, that page where Dead Man just says "Hiya," and just he's talking to like this dead skeleton.
well, yeah, because that's the interesting thing about Alex Ross's version of Deadman here, is that every time we ever see Deadman in pretty much anything,
Hmm.
he just looks the way he did alive, but he has his mask on, so that's what makes him like otherworldly, because he has this like this mask that makes him look more like a ghost even when he was alive. Um, Alex Ross was like, "What if he was just a skeleton?"
And I guess the thinking on this is that after several decades later, I guess like the ghost has deteriorated and now he's just a skeleton.
Yeah, because even the outfit's like shredded. Like you can
Yeah.
see the fingers are sticking out of the hand, because it's all degloved at this point, and one of the other gloves doesn't even exist. The legs the boots are like deteriorating, so you can see everything from there. But he still acts like himself, which I
Yeah.
really appreciated.
This is basically the look that they give him as Black Lantern Dead Man in Blackest Night. He goes back to being a skeleton, except he's in black instead of red in that. But
Yeah, and I like the conversation he had, which is just like he's like, "Are you like a fly?" Like I like the conversation because it's a great thing that the preacher says or the pastor says, which is he's like, "Look, I don't believe in the idea that like there's one specific God. That's actually not really how I operate. I operate in the way that like I. It was a great way of having your cake and eating it too with all religions, which is he's like, look, I believe in the fact that like God is not just a person, but it's like a force of many things. Like it's so like for like that Dead Man mentions like Ramakrishna, for instance, and he's like, yeah, it's one that motivates us to master our own fate. So he's like, look, you don't even have to believe in God to understand what I'm saying. Like you have to believe in the idea that there's forces out there that we can't control, that just sort of guide us to where we need to be. And it's so he sees God as more of a philosophical thing, which is I think the reason why he's able to like look at a literal tribunal of gods and not be overwhelmed by it.
yeah, it's almost like explaining, like, I don't know, maybe like from his perspective, like maybe these guys, like maybe like their actions, their like collective will, like maybe that is God.
Yeah, and it's really sweet, and it's really sweet in a nice way because again, because when you show this book to somebody who doesn't like, who's very atheist type of thing, they might take offense to the way, the Bible's very much part of the story in a lot of ways. But if they get to that point, they'll be like, "Oh, I see why this is as revert, like as loved as it is, even among people that aren't like very religious." I'm sure very religious people take something completely different from the book in general. But I appreciated that Alex Ross was like, "Look, here's the deal. I'm not here. I'm not here to make judgments on your religion. I'm not even here to make judgments if you don't believe in religion. This guy is a philosophical guy more than he is a man of the cloth. So I think that's 100 times. That makes the pastor 100 times more interesting
Yeah.
than the first half
The
did."
actual line he has is, "Since seminary, I have been more philosopher than priest."
Yeah, and then here's the other one, which is, "In my church, I preach that God is not a person, but rather a force with many names, one that motivates us to master our own fate. I never believed in the old world notion of assigning a physical face to that force or its agents." And then but I like this part because he's surrounded by them, which is that, "But now tell me, is the Spectre truly an angel?" Because he's like, look, these guys are all very otherworldly in different ways. And I love Boston's answer. He's like, "Absolutely, an angel of death."
Yeah.
It's like, "You're hanging out with death, bro. So I'm just going to tell you that before you lose your mind." And I kind of like that. But I appreciate that he also mentions that Spectre has a very similar journey that Superman has, which is that he has been the Spectre for so long, he himself has also forgot how to be human, because Alex Ross uses the original Spectre, which is he was a cop who if I remember correctly, it's just a cop who dies or something like that. I can't remember. Who then becomes the spirit of vengeance, but like he's kind of the guiding hand to it at times, compared to because most people know the Green Lantern one nowadays, when Hal Jordan was the Spectre for a bit there.
Yeah, James Corrigan was the original JSA Spectre in the old
As far as I
days.
know, he's back to Corrigan, I think, but it's been a
Okay.
while. I haven't
And
checked.
then there was that Gotham City cop from the GCPD series that was Corrigan for a little bit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I completely forgot about that. So
But
after that sequence, I forgot how much Wonder Woman was a psychopath in the second half of this book, because I was happy that Clark was still Clark, because it's him and Wonder Woman talking about like better days and like, "Hey, how come you didn't tell me that you were ousted by your people?" I also like
yeah,
that even though Superman is apparently the most powerful being in the universe at this point, he still needs a mask to breathe in space.
It was the '90s thing, which like James Gunn has taken us back to. I guess he can hold his breath for an hour.
Yeah, and there's this great shot of Wonder Woman destroying this asteroid and then using the lasso to like essentially reconstruct it.
Yeah, it's really beautiful art. They're having this conversation sitting outside of Green Lantern's space station in orbit of Earth and playing with asteroids and
Yeah, and as they're having this conversation, she's like, "Well, the Amazons thought I wasn't doing my job. They were like, you went out there, nothing got better. We think you failed so bad at your job that not only did we kick you out of Themyscira, we've stripped you of your royalty as well."
you know, they
And
fired
then
her from being princess.
yeah, which is an insane thing to do, by the way. But it's what she says here that made me be like, "Oh, Wonder Woman, you're a crazy person." Which is the part where she's like, I always admire your gentility, is what she says, which is like your gentle touch. And then seconds later, oh no, well, Superman tells her that, and then seconds later, she just goes, "It didn't get the job done," and she's just like constantly talking about being warriors. She's like, "We're warriors, and we have an obligation to wage combat." And Superman's just like, "Come on, like, it's like we're trying to keep the peace."
Yeah, she
And I
gets
like,
very hawkish and very violent.
yeah, and I like what Superman says, that only the weak succumb to brutality.
Mm-hmm.
Because what I loved about that is, at the end of the day, as much as Superman doesn't feel human as much anymore, he still, and even though Lois died due to Joker's actions, he refuses to go down that path. He could easily become like a dictator if he wanted to. He could easily use his power to like be like might makes right, to like scare people into being into peace, but he refuses. He's like, I find what you're I'm not buying what you're selling, Wonder Woman, is what's going on during that scene. And it's clear that Wonder Woman has also gone through her own bad journey that has changed her in a way that she doesn't even realize, that undermines her very core type of thing. Which, again, I forgot how much of that is in there, because the first half kind of like hints at it, and then the second half just goes, "Oh no, she's crazy."
And the other, I guess, the other side of the story is that there's kind of a real life phenomena that follows whenever you start mass incarcerating people. Eventually, you have to deal with like, well, what do we do with them now? And a lot of times, just looking at history, like it goes very badly for the people that are, you're rounding up and just shoving into a camp with no due process. And
That's the thing, is that like Superman's version, like as much as we love Superman, as much as I love the Superman in this storyline, he doesn't think very far ahead, and that's another thing that keeps happening to him throughout the books, which is that he doesn't know how to make a decision. People keep looking to him going, "So what do we do?" And he's like, well, we should we're gonna go beat him up." And they're like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, if they don't say, hey, I want to be truth and justice or whatever, we beat him up." And then that's what they did. And then after they beat him up, like, he looks at Wonder Woman and everyone going like, "So what are we gonna do with them?" He's like, I don't know." And
yeah,
so
like
Wonder Woman's first thought is like, "Let's make a prison. We'll make we'll make an underwater prison." And they're like, "What?" Like it's constantly Superman being dragged into decisions like that
in
he doesn't
misunderstanding
understand.
humanity. He's
Yeah,
misunderstanding humanity because he's forgotten that part of himself. But yeah, he's like, y'all just be good, just act better. It's not that hard. Just do the right thing like I do.
yeah, and he doesn't. He that message says everything about his thought process at the moment. What he's stuck in black and white mode,
Mm-hmm.
but his version of black and white is also very old school. It's an old. There's a great line by the guy who throws the thing at it, where he's like, he calls him like Captain 1950s or something like that, to be like you don't know what you're talking about either, type of thing. And it's true, to be honest. Like as you go through it, and this Lex Luthor Captain Marvel thing is diabolical, by the way.
Yeah, I forgot. I knew that Lex had Billy Batson under his thumb. I forgot that it was with worms in his ear, like Khan in Star Trek: The Wrath of Khan. It's the same thing.
I think the idea is that Savannah had figured out how to make like, it's the best way of putting it, make like dummy Mr. Minds, I think is the
Mm-hmm.
idea. Since Mr. Mind is this exact type of worm, like he's green, has this exact pattern, and he used to go into people's ears or like hang out next to their ear type of thing. And I like that. I like that Alex Ross puts some respect on Savannah's name, where he's like, hey, he's like, do you suppose that when they coined the term mad scientist, they were thinking of him? That's an Easter egg, because I think we had this conversation once before. If not, I had a conversation with my girlfriend about this, which is that the term mad scientist first appeared in Captain Marvel comics before any other comic, and it was in fact about Dr. Savannah.
Yeah. Did
But
the
for real,
concept had been around, but like it had never been called
no one
mad
ever coined
scientist
the
before.
term.
Yeah.
No one ever looked at a guy and went, "You're a mad scientist." People were just like, "That scientist is crazy," or that scientist is mad. But he was the first one to be like, "Mad scientist, Dr. Savannah," and then from then on, everybody after that was called a mad scientist, basically.
What do you think happened to Savannah himself though in this story? Like Lex is like using his resources. Like, oh, I have like these worms that Savannah came up with to control his arch enemy. But like, well, where's Savannah? I guess he just like died of old age, or like I don't know. Maybe Lex just like took all of his stuff and then had him whacked or something. I don't know.
So my theory on that is because there's a line that Batman says later down the line. Where is it at? Here it is. Yeah, here it is. One sad day, he spoke his magic word for the last time, and then vanished inside a scared little boy. I think he accidentally killed Savannah.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. That would explain why he was in that state of
Why?
mind.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would explain why he so easily succumbs to the idea of that somebody telling him over and over again, superhumans are dangerous, and they could at any moment they can just like, you know, do what they want, and like because there's this brainwashing sequence of him showing him this fake clip of like Fawcett City getting attacked, and even Billy getting shot for some reason.
Yeah. That
And
doesn't quite
like,
make sense. But yeah, it's
and
just
you
all
see
like
this like,
imagery and emotions and stuff.
yeah, this little Captain Marvel toy. It's like a toy rabbit, and all these like dead people. I'm assuming some of these people are supposed to be his friends as well, um, which is probably why he's like, well, that never happened, type of thing. He's like, but it could happen, Billy. Like it could happen at any moment. It could happen to you. Become a helldiver. Sorry, um, but they. That's what he's doing. He's like, it's gonna happen to anyone, and he keeps him from becoming Shazam as much as he can until he's like ready to like launch him at somebody, type of thing. And so it would make sense to me that the reason why Captain Marvel disappeared and then Lex got his hands on him was that Captain Marvel might have accidentally killed Savannah, and maybe that's how Lex found everything. It's like Savannah died, Lex got to wherever the mad scientist's lab was, found all this shit, and was like, I got an idea. But the most sad thing is that it's clear that Billy's been with Lex for a while, which is one of the saddest things about this book, um, because Bruce like mentions it. He's like, yeah, he's been keeping him like, and as he grows up, has just been fucking with his mind this whole time. I'm trying to find out what the line is, because there's like a line about it somewhere. I can't find it, but there's a great line about it where he's just been keeping him under his thumb. Yeah, here it is. All these years as Batson grew to manhood, Luther kept him in check by turning him into a stew of schizophrenic psychoses, meaning that like he probably got a hold of Billy like at minimum as a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
Minimum. This is like so much past that point. I think he's like in his early 20s at this point, I think is the idea.
Yeah, at least.
And what I loved about, well, we'll get to that point in a little bit, which is right after this. It shows Bruce is working with Lex at the moment, making all these robot bots, and he shows that he has all of his side of the superhero community, which is that I think like 99% of them are like the children of past superheroes, and you can see it. Like, there's clearly like Green Lantern's daughter, Starfire's daughter,
Yeah, Wildcat's son.
yeah, Wildcat's son, Wally West's daughter in the background. I'm assuming this is Aquaman's daughter at one in the background. Like everybody, and like yeah, there's also like the Canary one
A
that
lot
plays.
of daughters. Like Alex Ross wants to have a daughter, I guess. I don't know
Yeah,
what's up
there's.
with
I
that.
forgot how many of them are just daughters. Like there's like a handful of sons, but it's like 90% daughters. But what I loved about the scene is that it also showed what had become of Martian Manhunter. Martian Manhunter is another one that's like really sad, which is
Yeah,
that at some point Martian Manhunter, for some reason, decided to just read everybody's thoughts at once or something.
right. He wanted
Completely
to get
flipped
to
his
know
brain.
humanity better and opened his mind to the entire world at some point. And when he saw I guess all the ugliness in the collective human heart, it drove him mad. It broke him.
See, what happened was that he went to 4chan and he read the whole
Yeah.
thing, destroyed his brain. Uh, that's the thing. Him and Ultron have that same idea, except the difference is that Ultron decided to murder everyone, or where John just is like, I can't do this. But I appreciate that John was like here and he's like talking about like they're trying to figure out what's going on with Billy and Lex. It is a little sad that John tries to help, but he doesn't. He can't focus, so it's a little. It's kind of a shame that that does happen. But I love the scene of everybody being super nervous around Billy, and I had forgot why they were afraid of Billy until the later part that happens, which is it turns out during the scene, everyone in this room thinks it's Captain Marvel in a tuxedo because
Hmm.
nobody's seen Billy in so long. They assume Captain Marvel. They assume that Billy wouldn't look like Captain Marvel as an adult, so they just assume this is Captain Marvel for some reason in a tuxedo. So they're scared shitless that he's going to snap at any moment and kill everybody in the room because he is Earth's mightiest mortal after all, and everybody in there is not nearly as strong as him.
And Martian Manhunter is able to I guess confirm Batman's suspicion that, oh, this is not Captain Marvel that Lex has under his thumb. This is actually Billy Batson as an adult.
Yeah, that seems to be like the one thing that he's able to find out, and it's because I don't remember what he says. Yeah, and then yeah, so it's so the yeah he realizes that's what's happening at this moment, and it's yeah it's sad to see that like the Spectre is just like it's just kind of sad what has happened to Captain Marvel. And this is the reason why a lot of Captain Marvel fans aren't as big of a fan of Kingdom Come as everybody else is,
But there,
because his their hero is like their hero's kind of fucked. It's kind of the
yeah, no,
situation.
you're if you wanted to see Captain Marvel do like some cool stuff and be like the hero of the story, then I mean, I don't know. I guess there's like a little bit of that in here, but yeah, it's definitely more sad things happen to him than good things.
Well, Kingdom Come is an interesting story because it's the closest thing to like another type of Dark Knight Returns type storyline for a lot of other characters at the same time. Because the
Hmm.
Dark Knight Returns is all about Batman, and a character assassinates a lot of other people. Don't get me wrong, specifically Superman in that storyline. But the difference is that like they don't really change as people in that storyline. Whereas one of the reasons I think even Captain Marvel fans eventually still like this one is that there is redemption for pretty much every character, every main character that is loved. Like by the end of this storyline, it's not like Injustice basically, where at the end of the storyline, it doesn't end with Wonder Woman going, and then I murdered everyone with my bare hands at all times, all the time, every day, and I had a smile on my face, and it was the best day ever, type of thing. That's how Injustice Wonder Woman is. Like she's like that's the thing. I kept getting the Injustice vibes from Kingdom Come, and I realized a lot of Diana's reactionary things in Injustice come from the way Alex Ross and Mark Waid wrote Diana at this point in time in her life. So it becomes clear to me that like somebody ran with that to the nth degree and just kept her there at all times. But at the end, everybody ends up in a place where you want these heroes to end up, except for, you know, the ones that where it happens to, type of thing. But at the end of the day, like, Alex Rostow loves these characters enough to keep them in a place where you're not upset with them. You know what I mean?
And there's these two scenes that kind of parallel each other, where you have the Lex and Batman side of things. What are they calling themselves? The Mankind Liberation Front.
Yeah.
And then you have, you know, Superman and the New Justice League, and they both kind of have like a secret exposed at the same time as it's cutting back and forth. You know, we have Bruce Wayne figuring out that okay, that's not Captain Marvel, that's Billy Batson, and at the same time that, you know, that stuff's going on, the Justice League are having their meeting where, you know, Wonder Woman is kind of butting heads with Superman, and that's when Flash notices the Spectre and Norman McKay just like they're hanging out. It was kind of cool that like Flash was able to, he was the one who could see them.
Yeah, it makes sense. You know, he sees the vibrational, like, he probably saw the vibrational, like, difference in the room that most people wouldn't even notice, because they're technically in an alternate, almost like an alternate dimension, or they're just outside of the dimension that if you probably vibrate at the right speed, because that's what Flash did all the time, is that he can get into any dimension if he vibrates just enough. And so that's what's great about that scene. I do like that the tensions are rising among the Justice League as well, because I like the scene because it's clearly all these old sidekicks. It's Roy, Wonder Girl, Dick Grayson, and I think Aqualad, and I think there's another person there, but I can't.
And Power Girl.
Oh, and Power Girl, and they're all having the same discussion, which is they're just like, I don't think this is going well, type of thing. It's like that prison's ready to pop. And Clark's literally like 5 feet away from them. And the only reason he's not saying anything is because he's clearly trying to, like, he's looking all over the world, checking up on the superhuman stuff. But I love that, yeah, the Flash grabs, he only grabs the pastor, by the way, which is kind of a dick move. The Spectre's there too, but he only grabs the old man. Or maybe the Spectre moved out of the way in time, I don't know.
Yeah, he knew to stay invisible or become intangible or something.
But yeah, Power Woman grabs him. She's about to punch his head off. Oh, I forgot that. I think that's Big Bard on the background. Is that? It's either Big Bard or her
the daughter. Yeah,
daughter, right? Because she has an
daughter
Big Bard
they
has an
established
iPad,
earlier. Yeah,
that's right. But I like that Superman just says, like, he just says well, and then they all just stare at Norman. I'm surprised Norman didn't shit himself right then and there. I would have shit myself right then and there. I would have been terrified, surrounded by not just Superman, but like every metahuman who could like murder everyone in seconds.
Yeah, at a time when they've talked about how like the world is very scared of these superpowered people right now.
You know what? I didn't notice this until right now, until this exact moment, is that Captain Marvel Jr. is with them. And he's on the top area, and he's drawn like Elvis.
Well, that was Elvis's favorite superhero was Freddie Freeman, Captain Marvel Jr.
For people who don't know, that's actually true, and that's the reason why if you look at I almost said Captain Marvel. If you look at Elvis costumes past a certain point, and you put them right next to Captain Marvel's, you'll understand why Elvis's cape is the way it is. He clearly loved Captain Marvel Jr. with a passion, and it was two-sided. It wasn't one-sided, because the DC writers, when they found that out, they made Freddie a huge fan of Elvis. That's a real thing. For people who don't know that, no, I didn't notice that until right now. But yeah, poor Norman. He's just like, they're like, explain yourself, young man, type of thing is what's happening there, and he's like, I'm Norman.
Yeah, he ends up like quoting the Bible. He ends up just like, I'll just do my preacher thing and recite some scripture.
I feel so bad for him. Like, it's like this has happened to us at some point. We've all, like, somebody randomly was like, this is so and so, and then you just stand there and they're expecting you to say something, and you're like, I don't know what to do.
Totally underprepared.
Norman.
Caught off guard.
Poor Norman, and he's just like, I'm here to warn, catastrophe,
It's about to be the end of the world, I guess.
Armageddon. And Superman's like, the fuck are you talking about, bro? He's like, we're the Justice League. It'll be fine. Like that's literally what Superman's telling him once he starts spouting the Armageddon. What I love about it, though, is that Clark immediately knows what he's talking about, showing off his Catholic. I don't know if it's Catholic. His Christian upbringing is a better way of putting it, because I don't know what his specific denomination was. But I like that Clark immediately knows what he's talking about. He's like, "Oh, you're talking about Armageddon," like, because he never says the word Armageddon during what he's saying. But the fact that Superman knows that immediately, and he's just like, look, guys, I'm Superman. I would know if something bad's gonna happen. As he's saying that, somebody yells in the background, going, "So the Gulag is rioting."
Yeah, he's kind of Norman's kind of saved by the bell, because it's Dick Grayson that says, I think it's "Holy God," right? Like he just yells something. Yeah,
he says "Holy God." And then, which is really funny because I guess that's just like a way of doing both. And he just goes, which is word came in, there's a riot going on. When you look at that, that's clearly Michael Keaton's Batman face. When you look at that, by the way. And I love the silence right after he says the prisoner's gone berserk. And Superman looks right at Norman like, fuck.
Yeah, you weren't lying when you said it's about to be the apocalypse.
And then comes the schism between Wonder Woman and Superman, which is that she's like, by whatever means necessary, and while Superman's like, look, we want to do this through we want to do it through peaceful means, is what Superman keeps saying, and Wonder Woman just yells over him.
Yeah, it echoes a scene we discussed last week when Superman is trying to give like the press talk, and then he says, we're gonna go after these bad metahumans that are endangering civilians, and somebody asks him, well, what about Magog? And then like Wonder Woman like steps in when like Superman kind of had like a hard time answering the question about the guy involved with all the trauma around Lois's death and what have you. But then here Wonder Woman she's kind of being like his like second in command, like his like right hand woman. And then here she kind of like oversteps to correct him when Superman's like, yeah, we're gonna bring in everyone, peacefully and safe, and she's like, no, we're bringing them in by any means necessary. Do whatever it takes.
She cuts him off. Like he says, then here's what he's about to say. Then here's what we do, and she immediately just goes, Flash, Green Lantern, Power Woman, to the Gulag, take control. And he just goes, well, through peaceful means, like by whatever means necessary. It's just really funny because it reminds me of that meme from Parks and Rec, where with April and Andy, where she's like, somebody's gonna die, and Andy going, oh, fun. Like it's it's like that scene, except like the difference is it's like her just being like, we're gonna murder them all, and Superman's like, we need to fucking chill. Like, what is going on here? And I love the and she's just really upset with him. She's just like, he's like, there's a crisis and you're not doing anything. Like, you're not doing anything you don't have any authority is what's going on here. And everyone's looking to you for this authority and you're not doing anything. And then she's like, oh, by the way, we got a meeting with the UN. And then he's like, okay, I guess we'll go talk to the UN then.
But they have a vision between them. They're kind of divided, but that also again parallels what's going on Batman and Lex's side of things. This is when they have their falling out.
Yeah, and then there's this great scene at the UN, and I'm like, General Wormworld is Alex Ross, right? If I remember correctly. Like, this is what Alex Ross looks like.
Yeah, it looks like him. I think he still had long hair when he was doing this in the 90s.
Yeah, I think
but maybe not.
It's the thing is, it looks like what Alex Ross looks like now.
Yeah, he was like
the funniest thing.
He was basing him on like, this is what I'll look like when I'm like an old man who would like actually be a diplomat in the UN building.
And he nailed it.
Young artist.
I don't know how, but he nailed it. Maybe he shaved his head. Maybe that's what he did. He shaved part of his head and then did that. But no, I like this scene a lot because it shows how out of touch Superman is. Because these people are asking for assurances, and Superman, like if this was Superman 20 years ago, because again he's been missing for he's been missing for 10 years essentially. If this was Superman 20 years ago, and somebody was like, "Look, Superman, you built a prison in the middle of Kansas, the heart of America. Like, what am I supposed to do with that?" And they're like, "Are you sure this is the right call and everything's going to be great?" Superman 20 years ago would have been like, "Look, I see how this looks. I understand why it looks bad, but we're doing what we can. You have my word that I will do everything in my power to." Type of thing. He would have like given some reassurances. Instead, he did what I would have done, and I say this as a bad thing, which is him being like, "Now, this is a terrible idea." Well, look how Wonder Woman's face right after he says that. Basically, she's like, "Fuck, did you just say?" Because here's the exact wording he says when she says the incarcerated are fully like he insists that it's hard to believe it poses no prevailing danger that those incarcerated are fully docile and eager to come late. Is that true, Superman? And she looks at him and he just goes, "No." Not entirely. He's like, "It's a work in progress." It's like, Superman was the worst possible fucking thing you could have told these people.
Yeah, these people are terrified. They need like assurances, and Superman can't provide that.
This is a great line as well. Superman, the confidence and hope your reemergence engendered is fast eroding.
Yeah.
We were excited you came back, but I'm not anymore, dude. What the fuck?
Your approval rating shot up, and recent polls have it going way the hell down.
It's like, yeah, you. What the fuck? What the fuck, Superman? I was like, what the fuck, Superman? And Wonder Woman's like, the fuck, dude? He's like, and they fly off. He's like, stop looking so stunned. Like, why did you think? What did you expect was going to happen, Clark? Like, as they're flying off, or Cal, as she keeps calling him. And I like how she hints at kind of what happens later, which is like, whereas they're scared and their fears may soon trump our solutions, and because she's very much like, we have to act, because in the superhuman community, Superman looks like the world leader, even if he's not really, because he is and he isn't, because people think of him as that, but he doesn't think of himself as that, and he doesn't know what to do. Every time there's a decision in front of his face, he finds himself making the wrong decision every single time, and that's like another one in the long line of bad decisions. And then comes the scene where the shit truly hits the fan. Is the next scene where Lex is like, "Well, the riot's happening. This is what we've been training for. I'm going to unleash the asset of Shazam," and Bruce tries his very best to keep it from happening, which I really appreciated. I love Green Arrow's reaction, though. He's like, "You're kidding me! All this time we've been in mortal fear of Billy fucking Batson."
So is Ollie in on Bruce's I guess double cross of Lex? He's got to be, right?
Yeah, they all are, because there's this the line right here where he says, "Then may we assume you've given the signal," which means like, I assume that everyone that is part of Bruce's entourage knew that he's like, he probably was looking, like, him and Ollie were probably like, "Okay, wait for the signal. Once the signal happens, we take them all down, and then we'll go from there." Because Batman is more of a shadow ops. Like, these are the outsiders, basically. Like, this is Batman and the outsiders.
Oh yeah, they are like the outsiders. Yeah,
and he's
like
just
his secret
like
team.
He's like, "Just wait for the signal. We'll take them all out." And what's great about it is that Batman's operation is still like fucking chef's kiss, because no one gets hurt the entire time. Like, during his thing, like, everyone's captured peacefully, no one's killed. Even when they defeat the people, he like, Wildcat jumps the table and beats up somebody probably, and some Arrow people, like, they stop the guy from running. Wally's daughter spins the guy in a chair. and like, it's crazy.
He conned Lex into building a lot of those bat drones for him.
Yeah, and he controls them all, which is the funniest part. I do like Lex, though, here. He's like, "You double-crossed me," and Bruce is like, "Well, I learned from you. I learned from the best." It's such a great moment. Um, and yeah, he had like honestly, like he had it in the bag until Billy got away, which is the sad part. Like if Billy hadn't gone away, and then the worst part is that if Billy hadn't ran into the bowl full of these worms, Bruce might have been able to talk him down, type of thing.
Yeah.
It's a tragic moment.
Yeah, it's kind of the worst possible scenario as far as, in a world that's terrified of these dangerous metahumans, and then okay, well, the second strongest one on the planet has just been driven even more insane and turned loose.
Yeah, there's Batman has like a gun or something. I think it's like a trank. I think he was gonna like tranquilize him because it looks like it has like a back piece to it that a gun
Yeah.
normally wouldn't have. But I do like that Bruce is just like, you Luther took you under his wing, told you everybody's terrible, and he never let you forget there was one hiding deep inside you, like a superhuman. And yeah, that's the reason why I think he killed Savannah on accident. Like
No,
I
that
think
totally
Captain
makes
Marvel,
so much sense. Yeah.
I think Captain Marvel just accidentally fucking killed Savannah, and he just was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Shazammed away and just never wanted, just refused to be let out again.
That's dark.
It's very dark, but this world has a lot of. This world is a alternate reality of darkness that used to be one of the darker versions of the alternate realities, but now it's tame in comparison.
But yeah, Billy Batson is now as Captain Marvel is en route to the Gulag to blast it open, let all the rioters out. And at the same time, Wonder Woman is she is putting on the armor and the American flag for some reason. I guess there was a Steve Trevor in this world at some point.
That's
Uh,
true. I always thought it was funny that she's wearing the armor. I like that it showed that the pastor watched her change.
I didn't connect those dots, but yeah, I mean, like if he thinks the world's about to end, he's I guess getting the last few moments of enjoyment he can squeeze out of existence before it all goes up in flames.
This scene is one of the more heartbreaking things where like because Clark is like seeing her putting on this armor. He's like, it's more of that Amazon wisdom that you have where he's like, because she's like, we need to calm down the rioters, and she's like, I'm a soldier is what she's saying. And he's still being like, I don't want to kill anybody. He's like, I no lethal action against the rioters. He's like, I'm an easy with all this. And they're having this argument about it for a while. And her saying, you made the decision to incarcerate them for the good of mankind. And I like this line, which is Clark realizing he's been fucking up this whole time. And he goes, that was my mistake. I should have. And this is another instance of Clark not understanding that why he's part of the problem, which is him saying, I should have let humans decide how to deal with the problems, basically what he's saying. And then Hal shows up explaining that they've breached the walls and that Captain Comet has been killed during this riot. And that's when Wonder Woman finally just goes like, fuck this. Like, I like that Clark is like stunned. He doesn't know what to do. Like he's paralyzed with not with fear, he's paralyzed with indecision. He's now been told that, hey, one of your main prison guards has been killed during all this. And these people are supposed to still be like, a lot of them were trying to be heroes, and yet they killed the guy. Like that's a lot for him to take in. And that's him saying, how could they? And she's like, we're gonna confront them, give them an ultimatum, and then ask them to surrender. And I like that he says, and if they refuse, I love this part so much because it says everything about what's going on between these two people. She goes, then it's war. And he says, but you can't have a war without people dying. And then she gives that look again where she's like, she's so confused. I love this image so much of her. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, that image of her looking at him,
Mm-hmm.
understanding right then and there that her stance on this is not what Clark's stance is on this. He's he's still holding on to the fact that he's like, we can do this without killing anyone. And she's so fucking determined to prove. And I like that this is pointed out later on by Bruce, which is like, you are determined to prove that you are an Amazon. You are the warrior princess who's like, if there's, we must teach everyone our peaceful ways by force, type of thing. Like, it's a paradox. It's the biggest paradox about Wonder Woman as a
Totally.
character. And I like that it's full front, which is that like the Amazonian way of thinking never made any sense, type of thing. And she goes to war. That's her. She kisses him, and I love the explanation, which is her lips brush his with the sound of marble scraping steel. Because
Yeah.
one, she's a statue essentially. She's a
Yeah,
living
that's
statue
good.
technically. And he's the Man of Steel, and it's clear that it's like there's nothing here. This is two things just tapping each other. There's no passion. There's nothing. It's not a goddamn thing coming out of this. And it says, yeah, and it even says that it's a kiss completely devoid of passion. It's a final farewell. And Clark just stands there. He's like, fuck, man. And I like that he makes the immediate decision to ask Batman for help, like,
Yeah.
right away. And I like that Bruce is like, look, he's like, look, I'm not joining the league. He's like, that's not what the fuck I'm talking about. War is about to happen, and we have exactly like 3 minutes maybe to figure the shit out.
And the urgency of how Superman gets there when he sees Wonder Woman as like this general about to like lead her troops into war, and then he just like immediately flies out of the Green Lantern space station, flies through a satellite, flies underground, and just like one page, and then boom, he emerges in the Batcave while Bruce is sitting at the computer.
Yeah, he's like smoking too. Like, that shows how fast he was going. And he comes to Bruce. What I love about it is that he's like, Bruce, like, I accidentally amassed an army of metahumans, and Wonder Woman has gone nuts. He's like, I love this line where he says, because Bruce is like, the Gulag's about to explode. He's like, Wonder Woman's on her way to fucking go to war. And I like that Bruce is still giving Clark shit. I love this. You mean to tell me you never imagined it might come to this? Did you ever consider that war might be for the best? That perhaps humanity's only chance is for the superhumans to swallow each other? And he's like, fuck you. This is basically what Superbad says. He's like, the deliberate taking of human, even superhuman life goes against every belief I have and that you have. He's like, that's the one thing we've always had in common. It's what's made us what we are. More than anyone in the world, when you scratch everything else away from Batman, you're left with someone who doesn't want to see anybody die. And what's great about that is that not only is Clark right about that, but that was proven earlier, because he was in a room with like kind of the last remaining big supervillains that were actually doing fucked up things, and he didn't kill any of them. He captured all of them. If any of those 90s ass fucking guys had got a hold of that room of people, they all would have died in seconds, type of thing. Like, they would have shot up, they would have bombed it or something. Like, they would have been fucked. And even Wonder Woman's Justice League probably would have fucked the whole thing up, for kind of thing. Like, somebody would have died either way. But Bruce is like, he did that to a T. Arrested everybody. And I like that he immediately tells Clark, he's like, well, I will help you, but Captain Marvel's gone crazy. And poor Clark's like, oh fuck. I do like that, him flying off and Bruce getting a taste of his own medicine, turning around and him not being there.
It's one of my favorite moments in this book. But yeah, they always make all these jokes of the Batman and Superman both. You're like, almost every episode of Smallville, a character's like, Clark, where'd you go? But here, like, having Batman being on the receiving end of that for once. They stole this in which one was it? Was it one of Nolan's movies? The Dark Knight Rises maybe did it? Did
I don't
make that?
remember which
Or,
one did it. I know the Batman show did it at some point. The animated series. I don't remember who disappears, but somebody disappears on him and goes, he's like, oh, that's what that's like.
Yeah.
And I don't because I don't remember who says it, but I do remember it being used a few times after that.
Uh,
Um,
but they like to have jokes about Batman vanishing on Commissioner Gordon and what have you.
yeah,
Uh,
and then comes the scene that a lot of people remember the most from the second half, which is the moment Captain Marvel arrives, because it's Clark flying at full speed, trying to stop a war from happening, and the only reason he can't stop this war, because Superman is still like the strongest like one of at this point he is supposed to be the strongest superhero in existence at the moment. The only like Lex mentions it before, where Ollie's like, why don't we drop a kryptonite bomb on him? And Lex is like, it doesn't work anymore. He is at the height of his power. He's absorbed so much. He's invulnerable to everything that's not. And it's clear that Lex is like, he's invulnerable to everything, and it's clear that Lex has Shazam Captain Marvel specifically because there's one thing that he has no invulnerability to: magic, and it's his ace in the hole, which is the whole reason Clark can't just like stop this whole thing. Because that's the thing I like about it, is that the pastor keeps mentioning, he's like, he could stop this if he wanted to, but there's one man standing in his way. And this is a wonderful page. I always remember this page for years and years to come. It was him going, by a single bolt of lightning, Armageddon has arrived, and it's Captain Marvel standing over Superman in
with
like
a big dumb grin on his
the
face.
big dumb grin on his face, the big red cheese, just staring him down, and it's kind of terrifying, like, because we know what's going on. Even though this is how Alex Ross always draws Captain Marvel, it's knowing what's going on makes it that much more sinister.
Are you ready for the final issue, the final chapter?
Yes, so my book calls this Never-Ending Battle, is what the final chapter is called. And this scene is the one that I remember the most out of all of this story. I like this scene a lot, though, because it says there were voices and thunderings and lightnings and an earthquake. This was my dream. And I love that's all silhouetted still. And then it cuts the full... This is the full war going on. And he just goes, no more. And there's just a lot happening on the screen here. Like, there's the Ray shooting stuff at people, like people shooting fire, Wonder Woman, like, donning her full armor, Dick Grayson punching the shit out of somebody in the background, Red Arrow, like, shooting at some people, Hawkman fighting what looks to be like a devil, and Superman just in, like, a fucking massive battle with Captain Marvel. Like, he is stuck down there. And you feel for Norman, because he's like, what are we doing here? Like, what is it that we're supposed to be doing? It's like, these were all visions. It was too late. We couldn't warn Superman. Everything's still happening. What was the point of this?
Yeah,
And
he's like,
just like, I can't do anything.
he's been watching everything, leading up to this point, unable to change anything or prevent anything. So yeah, it would be like an unbelievably frustrating experience to have to bear witness to all of this.
Yeah, it's like, it's insane, because he's like, you told me to be here for a judgment. He's like, yeah, that's what we're here for. He's like, there's going to be a reckoning. He's like, for the hour of judgment, the hour of his judgment has come, and that's what you're here for, is basically what he's telling him. He's like, what the fuck does that mean? And while like everybody's fighting to the death down there, and there's this I love that Superman's still trying to talk Captain Marvel out of it. He's like, we need to figure this out, Billy. He's like stop it. And he can't get Captain Marvel to stop punching him. And then comes a very interesting scene, which is that it turns out the United Nations has created like the ultimate nuke, like a nuke that's designed to not just be a very powerful nuke to begin with, but that can't be shot down because of the way it works, is that it's designed to be encased in a force field that will keep people from like any sort of metahuman. Like they can't shoot it. They can't shoot down with fire. They can't shoot down like plasma. They can't like like you can't like lightning it down normally type of thing. Like it's designed to be metahuman proof, which is a crazy thing to have on hand. The thing I forgot about it is it's designed to look like John Byrne's Eradicator.
Oh, okay. I was wondering why it had this unique design. So
It
does
looks
that?
like that. Yeah, you remember, like if you ever get a chance, like if, I'm talking to the audience in this one, look up the Eradicator capsule from the '90s, like John Byrne era of Superman, as well as just the '90s in general. It looks just like the way this nuke looks. It looks exactly like that.
But they're probably using repurposed Kryptonian technology then.
I think that might be part of what. I think that might be part of the implication.
Because that makes it a lot easier to accept, like, oh yeah, Kryptonian science could probably make something metahuman proof.
Yeah, and they're like it's virtually undetectable, meaning like most people wouldn't know it's happening until it's on top of them, which does get to be proven. I do like that it shows that they hired what is the
The
Blackhawks?
the
Is that the name of them?
Blackhawks, yeah, the
Yeah, they hired the Blackhawks to do this
ace
for them.
pilots, yeah, because you have to like you have like a pilot like pilot these missiles. I assume like they have a way to like return home. They just like drop the bomb out of this craft or something. But yeah, that's
Yeah, I think the idea is they just drop it high enough and then just leave as fast as
yeah,
they can.
like you
Um,
typically bomb people, I guess.
yeah, because that's what happened. That's what happened with most of the unfortunate uses of nukes. And I appreciated the scene because all of humanity is essentially in this building, or all the humanity is like leaders, and they argue against it at first. I get why, and it makes sense to argue against it at first because like well like what happens if this goes wrong, and they're like, and Alex Ross, General Alex Ross, I'm just gonna call him that, um, just goes like, look, if we don't do this and this war goes on, this is going to spill out because right now they're in a dead zone essentially. Like there's no one in Kansas anymore.
Right.
He's like, we can nuke Kansas and not worry about it. Is basically what he's saying. It's like, but if we don't do this now and this war starts spreading, everyone's fucked because who are we going to call to stop the metahumans? Other metahumans? They're fighting each other. Like that's what's happening here. There's nothing we can do about that. But they're all gathered right now in this one little spot. And if we kill them all, then we don't have to worry about any of this. Like not just because not just because these people were out of control, but because there's so many of them that if we just and like whoever's left we can deal with is essentially what their thought process is. Because in their head they assume this nuke's going to take out everyone, and it probably could take out everyone. There's no implication. There's no indication that it wouldn't have. And I love the scene where he's like, Godspeed to you guys, and it cuts to him in his office, and there's this wonderful shot of him on his desk, and he has a family. He's got a family, and Alex Rox makes sure that you see that his mug says "World's Best Dad."
Yeah, all of a sudden,
super heartbreaking moment.
You kind of understand why he was so adamant about like we have to preserve the safety of the world of the human race, and it's like it was important to him to keep his family safe.
Yeah, he even basically says it here. The only way to ensure that future generations remember this is as humanity's final option is to ensure there will be future generations after today. This is him protecting his family just as much as it is everyone else's family. He's thinking ahead. He's not thinking about what happens now. He's like, if we take care of all these people, humanity has a chance at surviving this. And the sad thing is he's not wrong, because here's the thing. As much shit as I give Marvel Civil War a lot of the times, it's kind of true that if all of the metahumans just decided to start fighting each other one day, the world's just kind of fucked. Like, it's one of the reasons why you give, why as much shit as we give Batman for the Tower of Babel storyline sort of thing, and as much as, it's like, well, Batman, you shouldn't have done that type of thing. No, I get why he has contingency plans. I get it. Like, you should tell them you have contingency plans, but That's the mistake Bruce made, was not telling them, I have some. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but I have them, type of thing. Instead, he just kept them secret and fucked up everybody's trust of him. And that's kind of what this was even before that. But this is like, it's hard to argue against this decision. You know what I mean? Even though Superman's trying to keep it from happening, it's hard to say against.
Yeah, like you can get why the UN would do that, because like, I mean, they don't know what's in these people's hearts. They don't know they don't know like how stable Superman and Wonder Woman are.
And the best part is the next page kind of proves their point. He says, even in the brightest day, the dust of the battle eclipses the sun itself. The prisoners relieved by Marvel's thunderbolts strike out blindly. Wonder Woman's troops return force in kind. Both sides fight with abandon. Whatever heroics, mores of combat might once have ruled them become nostalgic memories. This is them saying these people don't give a fuck anymore. This isn't heroes stopping bad things from happening. This is a literal war now. There's nothing heroic about any of this anymore. And
just as Batman and his team arrives with Blue Beetle and Green Arrow and Black Canary.
This is such a great page because Batman like shows up almost like a force of. It's almost like an Endgame situation where he shows up, and Dr. Fate has like this big portal open. I forgot there's another Batman in here too. He looks almost like what Batman Beyond eventually looks like too.
Yeah, I don't know who that's supposed to be, but
I don't know either.
I have to get the Alex Ross art book to find out.
I could maybe Google it here, but I always like that Green Arrow is just dressed like Robin Hood outright. Like he's got that Kevin Costner Robin Hood outfit on.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is that like he shows up trying to keep people from killing each other, and then this is the line that always fucks me up. The sheer force of Batman's presence kindles a desperate ember of hope. Too late. And it's Von Bach. This is that German guy. It looks like he's about to kill, like, I assume Zatanna's son or something.
Yeah.
Because he's like a magician that was there earlier.
Zatara.
Like his top hat's even falling off. And Wonder Woman fucking kills the guy. That's the craziest thing I forgot about it, is I forgot that Wonder Woman's the first one to kill somebody in the entire story. And that the entire fucking like battleground kind of stops to look at that.
Yeah.
And he's just like, he left me no choice.
Yeah, that's really like when things seem like the absolute worst. It's like right after that, and then you have like Batman fighting Wonder Woman at the same time. Superman has his hands full with Captain Marvel.
Yeah, because what she's done is she's now ignited. Because before this point, people were like willing to like. There was still a pretense that we could maybe stop. Maybe we could like, if we get everyone to calm down, we can stop. The second she kills somebody, that removes all of it. There's no chance at peace anymore because she's now made it about revenge without realizing it. She has fucked it up. And I like that Batman's just calling her the fuck out about this whole thing. She's like, we're here to force peace. We're left with no choice. And he's just like, force peace, the Amazon tenet. Spread love and understanding, but don't be afraid to bloody your knuckles doing it. Don't tell me you still subscribe to that paradox. That's a fucking meme because of Futurama. Futurama has that great joke where Bender goes, "We will teach everyone our peaceful ways by force."
Yeah.
And that's Wonder Woman's entire thing in this. It's like, and Bruce is like, "That's bullshit. You know it's bullshit. Why are you still doing this?" And I like that he says, "I've heard rumors that the Amazons relieved you of your duties and heritage for not being strident enough. Face the truth, Diana. You won't win back your royal station by overcompensating." That's a hell of a thing to say to your friend.
He can talk shit when he needs to. You know, he knows how to say the things that are gonna sting the most.
Yeah, she loses her shit immediately. And I get it.
This was another thing that I forgot about. But the Wonder Woman Batman fight, when they go like up above the clouds, it's like so dark where they're fighting, but then they fly up high and get like above whatever is like blocking out the sun, and it's that very surreal moment when they see the Blackhawks and the nukes coming for them.
Yeah, it's a great moment because like they both, like she's about to say the only answer is force, the only answer is war, and he looks at it, and they both go, Oh, war. It's
Yeah.
basically what they're saying. It's
That
basically what Diana realized. He's like, oh yeah,
mass death.
war is hell. I forgot about that part. So up her own ass. She forgot about war. War actually being war. You know what's there's one thing I forgot about this scene. Not the scene, but the war is that there's like a cybernetic vigilante. I forgot about it. He's like the cowboy, but he's got like a fucking minigun arm,
Yeah.
and I forgot that he's like for some reason cyborg. I just thought that was interesting. But I love that like Bruce immediately like Superman's still having this fight with Shazam, and Bruce has this line. Where is it at? Where he basically calls her out again, where she's like, "Look," he's like, "Those are nuclear carriers, the ultimate warbringers. Our war is not is not one act of violence." He's basically explaining. He's like, "This war ends with everyone dead, and if you keep yourself to your Amazon honor, you will just let that plane do its job. If that's how you feel, with your heart in your heart of hearts, you will let all three of those planes just kill us all." And I like that she doesn't really let him kind of finish. She just goes straight into like destroying these planes. And it's just sad that, yeah, the finale of this specific scene, Superman keeping Billy from transforming again, only to find out that a nuke is about to land.
It's so cool how this is all paced out because you have like the three nukes. Wonder Woman has the magic sword they established earlier. It could even cut Superman. It can shave the electron off of an atom. She's able to take down one nuke with that. For some reason, Bruce made these super lasers on his bat suit. That I guess that was like the one thing that was like man-made that could take out one of these nukes. So he gets one, and then the third one's still out there. But you have like Superman and just getting pounded with the Shazam lightning. Like Captain Marvel just keeps spamming that attack over again. Over
Yeah,
and
like
over
he says,
again.
say something for yourself, and then he
Yeah.
just starts saying Shazam over and over again.
So yeah, it takes like Superman like holding his mouth shut and like pulling him in to get struck by the lightning and transform back into Billy Batson. And then yeah, he's just like holding this guy there with his. They talk like the Spectre's narration talks about like this powerful ass hand that can fuse coal into diamond, wrapped around human bone.
Yeah, like he could just annihilate Billy. He could probably turn Billy's head into a diamond if he wanted to, type of thing with how strong he is. And I like that when the pilot drops the nuke, the Spectre and Pastor also mentioned that they hear the small whisper of the pilot asking for forgiveness for what he's done, which is also very depressing. But I like what Clark says here, which is he's like, look, here's the deal. I can stop this nuke right here and now if I need to. And this is the moment that the Spectre is like, you need to pass judgment. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, how am I supposed to pass judgment? I'm just some fucking dude. And what's great is the moment that that Clark says here, where he's like, listen to me, Billy, harder than you've ever had before. He's like, there's a bomb coming to kill us all. It either kills us or we want to ramp it across the globe. I can still stop the bomb. That much I'm sure of. I don't know whether it should be allowed to. And this is the moment I love, which is that both of them make this decision, because the pastor says it here. He says, superhumans are mankind. One will pay the ultimate price. Is not for me to make. I'm not a god. And Clark at that exact moment says, I'm not a man. Because in his head, he's not human anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know what to do because he doesn't have humanity in him the way he used to. He's like, you, Billy, this is up to you. You're the only one here who has always been in both worlds more than anyone else. Because sure, the Green Lantern is a human with a power ring, but he's still a guy with a ring. Sure, Batman's a superhero, but he's still a guy in a suit of armor type of, at the moment. Billy is a human being who can turn into a super being, and vice versa. He's always been both, and he's letting him decide. And it's a very heartbreaking moment. He starts crying as he's saying, "Make the decision." And Superman Superman goes to stop the nuke. What I like about that is that Superman says, "Make the decision," because in his mind, he's thinking that Billy will either let him go to stop the nuke or stop him from stopping the nuke. That's what Clark is thinking is going to happen, not thinking of the third option that Billy does, which is he still lets the nuke happen, but he doesn't let it land, which is an interesting choice to make. It doesn't make it any less violent, though.
Yeah, but was that his intent, or was Captain Marvel trying to like destroy the nuke? Or he was still trying to stop it, but he was just like too late, and it still goes off.
No, because Superman tells him I can just stop it. It's like, you know, I could probably grab it and just throw it into space or something. Like, because he knows it's coming. Because the reason why the plan would have worked before that is that they said it's virtually undetectable, meaning that normally no one would have known it was going to get dropped. It just so happens that Batman and Wonder Woman go into the sky the exact moment the plane shows up, and Superman could have only stopped one of them. He couldn't stop all three of them, and so the idea is that he's like, I can stop it. It's still high enough that I can probably just grab it, because it's designed to keep people from, stopping it. But I don't know if it's designed in a way that can stop a man with experience like Superman from stopping it. You know what I mean? And Spectre's such a dick because he just points at Superman and just goes, "Judgment." It's like, fuck you, dude. And he's this scene is so fucked because he's surrounded by just death upon death. Like you could recognize that some of these people are like some of the main heroes, like Blue Beetle's in here.
Ted Cord is dead. Yeah,
Hawkman's in here. There's a few others that like I can't recognize right away, but like there are. It's not like oh, only the good people, only the nameless died. It's like, no. In fact, this book here, I forgot it confirms something that the normal book doesn't confirm. Kara dies in that nuke.
Oh.
Yeah, because what happens is Alex Ross, because that's the thing I was going to mention. This book ends by it ends with the ending of Kingdom Come. That's one of the reasons the epilogue is in it. Because what happens is after the Superman has his little adventure that he has, he's attacked by Gog just before he leaves, which is the reason why he doesn't have his cape still when he comes back. So what happens is that he's like, because Starman's with him, because Starman apparently when the nuke hit, him and Starman were transported to the main universe. And he's like, Starman, I need you to send me back to the exact moment I left. Maybe I'll have time to stop the bomb as his thought process, not realizing the bomb has already gone off at this point. So he's sent back, and let me bring it up. I can probably find it. Because Alex Ross essentially redraws that scene. Because it's the exact scene, too. Yeah, here it is. It's the exact scene, except it's drawn differently. Because it's a different angle.
Yeah, opposite angle. Yeah.
And then and you see even more of the people who died in this too. And he says, "I'm back," and here it is. This is the one thing that's not in the main story. I don't know if you can see it. It's him looking at Pyro Woman's corpse, and he says Kara, and he realizes that his cousin has died. And then he flies to the UN.
That makes this make a lot more sense.
It adds to even more of why he's upset, because not only has everybody died, in his opinion, everybody's died. He's lost his cousin. Although I don't know if it's still his cousin in this universe. I don't know how Kara works in this universe. But yeah, she's according to that book, she died in that nuke, because you don't see her again after that either. There's also like different shots like of the UN. So this is the normal UN shots, and the book has this book has some redrawn angles of the UN sequence. Let me see if I can find it again. This is the reason I made sure to bring this book up, because I was shocked. I was like, I don't remember this part because it's been so long since I've read it. Yeah, so it has like different angles of the people running from Clark's from Clark's rampage. It still has all the same lines, by the way, so it doesn't change the lines, and it even has like a different set of like it's all the same lines, but it has like different angles of Clark talking, being talked down, and then it even has like a different angle of him like finding out that some people have survived as well. And it even has like it has some of the ending from a different angle as well. So there's some of the different angles. Um, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So he attacks the UN because he's so upset that
Yeah,
the UN has nuked everybody.
ready to bring the roof down on them.
Yeah, there's a line. Hold on, I don't know if it's. I'm trying to see if it's in the main book. When he attacks the UN building, he's yeah, so he's super upset. There's that line. There's a line in this book that's not in this one. Hold on, let me see if I can find the line. The line during the attack. It's one line that kind of like adds to another piece of Clark being pissed at what's going on. Let me see if I can find what he says. Yeah, here it is. So they're all upset, and he says, after everything we did for you, you condemned us to death, is what Clark says in this book. This is a different book again, but it adds more to what Clark did during the UN attack, and then after that, everything is pretty much the rest. Everything's exactly the same, which is that before Clark can kill the UN, essentially, Norman says enough of this. I'm fucking tired. I'm tired of being a witness. I'm sick of this shit. Like, because the Spectre's like, our work's done here. We can go home. He's like, fuck you. He's like, where's Superman going? He's like, well, I'm sure he's gonna go, confront the people he did this. He's like, you take me there now. Like, because if you don't, you're evil, and then you have to kill yourself. Is basically what he's saying. He's like, I'm fucking so mad.
I love his speech to Clark at the UN bill. Yeah, and he's actually calling him Clark and telling him, you need to be in touch with that part of yourself, with humanity. You've lost that connection.
It's great because he's telling him because everyone else has been calling him Cal except for Bruce. It's him reminding him, your name is not Cal. I know you keep calling yourself Cal, but you've always been Clark. Like, you need to go back to that. Like, Superman keeps saying, he's like, every decision I've made has been the wrong one. And I love that Norman makes him realize why he's been making only bad decisions. He hasn't lived among humanity for a decade. He doesn't remember how to think like a person. And that's what makes this so powerful when he realizes, and that when he finds out people survived, and he's like, there's still enough that it might be an issue, but he realizes, like, we need to go back to living among people. We can't, like, humanity saw us as gods. We saw ourselves as gods after a while, and that was always wrong. We never should have done that. Humanity should have stopped looking at us like that. Like, they were worshiping them the way, like, the Greeks were worshiping their gods, and that never should have been happening, type of thing. And it's a great moment because it's Clark being like, humanity needs to take the reins again. We need to be a part of humanity again, so this never happens again. And we'll let everyone else decide who they're going to be, but we want them to do it in a way that is not us forcing them to do it. And it's a great moment. It's a wonderful moment.
But I love, like, hanging up Captain Marvel's flag at the like the famous row of flagpoles outside the UN building.
They use his cape like a flag for the metahumans, and I like that everybody starts taking off their masks. Like, Bruce takes off his helmet. I assume it's supposed to be Hal, but Hal takes off his little domino mask because it's all of them going like, we are just people. We were never supposed to be like your deities. We were always supposed to work with you. And I love that it shows that new Oa, as it's called, now has a seat at the UN, so they can discuss things. Like, Clark is trying to rebuild Kansas from scratch, essentially. He sets like a memorial that's a lot like the memorial at Arlington Cemetery, where it's just a lot of gravestones, this great remembrance type thing for everyone who's died. And it's wonderful. It's a wonderful moment, and Diana deciding to give him the glasses to show that she is now 100% on board the humanity side, because she's reinstated which is a strange thing. I was surprised they reinstated her to her princessiness. I guess the Amazon's like, yeah, you nuked a bunch of people. Welcome back
Oh
home.
yeah, is that what it was? But the glasses are such a cool idea because like the line from Diana, the a gift, a little something to help you see more clearly, and then like it's like, oh yeah, to remind him of humanity.
Yeah, it's the moment she goes, "You're not Cal, you're Clark," and he immediately kind of acts differently. He's like, "Clark Kent, it is." And then the original epilogue happens, which is the 1 year later epilogue, which is a
Yeah.
very, very funny epilogue.
Yeah, I kind of like this scene. It's kind of weird to me too, though, because it's basically like Superman and Wonder Woman getting dinner with Batman to tell him like, "Hey, we're having a baby, but we want you to help us parent this child."
Yeah, it's really funny because Bruce is just like, "Are you sure? You know who I am, right?" I also like that Bruce figured it out like within seconds.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, at least that they're pregnant, not that he's going to be like their godfather type thing. Because and it's a great little moment where it's like, well, Wonder Woman is usually like always the same no matter what, but now she's gained a little pregnancy weight, and her hair is starting to go gray, meaning that something caused her immortality to act up, type of thing. And so it's really interesting, like to show how good of a detective Bruce still is. But I love how it shows that how oblivious people are, because it's another great example of like when people are like, how come people wouldn't notice that Superman is Clark Kent? It's like because most people don't care when they're in a busy restaurant type of thing. I
They're
love
at
that
the
line.
planet Krypton. They go back to the issue 1 restaurant.
I like that Clark's like looking at a guy dressed like Superman with long hair, and he's like, oh. Like it's just as much Alex Ross going like, man, I don't really like long hair Superman type of thing, because this is like right after Return of Superman has happened by this point.
But I did think long hair Clark Kent in overalls in the Fortress of Solitude looked pretty cool in issue 1.
No, I still like long hair Clark. It's just as much Clark being like, well, I didn't really, maybe I shouldn't have done that type of thing. But I love that like nobody in the restaurant notices them. There's a guy who sits right behind Bruce. Bruce Wayne is still a very famous rich guy. And the guy just goes, are you? And you expect him to be like, are you Bruce Wayne? He just goes, are you still using the ketchup? He's like, oh, I don't. Yeah, here you go. I don't fucking care.
And there's so much like little Easter egg things hanging up on the wall. You have a King Tut from the Adam West Batman show. There's like a portrait of him. There's, I think it's like the black and white like George Reeves Superman suit before they shot that show in color. I think that's hanging up on the wall somewhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of like small things here and there. There's like what appears to be the Mego action figures at one point seems to be on the wall. Yeah, this isn't even George Reeves. I think this is Kirk Allen's Superman.
Oh wow,
suit.
That's Kirk Allen's Superman
because
suit?
I think the image of him on the top right, because the hair on it's more Kirk Allen than it is George Reeves is the reason for that. At least that's my assumption. I'd have to really zoom in on it. The other thing I really liked is this is funny because I didn't realize this. I forgot about this actually. So when they give a toast to Shazam, there's this cup that they use for it when they do the toast to him for it. I'm trying to find it right somewhere. I think it's like really early on. I'm trying to remember the exact moment. Yeah, here it is. I have that cup.
Nice.
I own that Shazam cup. It was a gift from my mom. She got it at a Goodwill years ago. It came with the Superman one, but the Superman one broke. I have an Aquaman one as well. Those are the 3 she gave me. So you can still find these very easily. But it's literally this exact cup that says Shazam and everything on it. So I don't own any of the other ones, but I forgot that this was on there. So I think that's just really funny. Also, Batman eats a steak well done.
That is also weird to me. Like, why?
It's blasphemous. Batman doesn't understand how steak works. It makes me sad.
But
that means Hank Hill would tell him to leave.
when they're walking out the door and they're talking about, like, oh, we're going to be raising this, like the most powerful child in the world. They walk past a framed copy of Wiz Comics #1 or #2 or whatever, but it's like the one. I think it's the one that's supposed to be like the very first appearance of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, it's one of the most famous covers of Captain Marvel, and there's it's the one where he throws the car at the wall.
No.
Cover, because it's very similar to the way Superman's cover was, except the
It
only
was
difference is just
totally
launched it.
made to, like, be like, hey, you like Superman? This is kind of the same thing.
Yeah, and I love that. I love the this. It's like a World War II cabinet back there as well. It's clearly has Sergeant Rock's helmet in there. And I like that the Spectre is like the Spectre plate is spinach as cottage cheese. Like he looks disappointed that they named something like that after him.
Oh yeah, but the
I
Spectre got back in touch with his human roots. Also, he got to be his
Yeah,
human personality
and
as
I
well.
forgot to mention that Norman, before the epilogue happens, that Norman's talking about that Norman went back to doing his sermons, but with a new sort of a new sense of being, essentially, and like a nicer way of doing everything. And the Spectre's there as well with him because he realizes because he basically challenges the Spectre to also be to come back to his human roots as well. And it's a wonderful ending. This is the original ending, by the way. I'm calling it the original ending because what I'm about to show, what I'm about to mention, didn't exist until this comic happened. Which is so. If you guys ever get a chance, go out and find the Justice Society of America storyline called "Thy Kingdom Come." It's a storyline that takes place, as I mentioned, basically directly after, or kind of in the middle of the ending of the original comic. Superman is transported from Earth 22 into the main universe, and he runs into the Justice Society of America, and he's kind of panicking because he thinks some stuff will happen the same way. So sometimes he tries to stop some of that. It does show how much differently strong he is than a normal Superman because he easily handles like our main universe Superman at one point on accident because he's like terrified something's going to happen to the Daily Planet. It's a great story, or well, actually, it's mixed. Some people say it's a great story. Some people say it's not great. But in it, Alex Ross decided to make a different epilogue, and I don't mean different as in like it changes the 1 year later. Instead of 1 year later, it cuts to a series of images. The first one is 10 years later. It's Clark, Diana, and Bruce with a bunch of kids. I'm assuming Clark had more kids or something because there's a shit ton of them. And then it cuts to 20 years later where Bruce has since died. This is Bruce's funeral. But then it cuts like even faster. It's like, what is this? This is 100 years later. Like people have started leaving Earth, and then from there it's like this is probably kind of Commandi's time frame.
Right, right.
And then it cuts to like after that, like Clark helps rebuild the planet, I guess. And then it cuts to 1,000 years later, and by then, the Legion of Superheroes is now a thing, and Clark is still alive. He's an old, decrepit man, but he lives long enough
Yeah.
to see. He lives long enough to see the utopia he's been shown.
He kind
As
of
a kid.
becomes the Norman McKay, just kind of like the
Yeah,
quaint little, this meek, mild old man who's the witness to all this extraordinary things.
it's a really sweet epilogue, and if you buy Kingdom Come nowadays, if you buy the trade for it, it now has that as the ending. It's almost like the
Hmm.
100% ending.
You know,
Is what
I
that is.
I need to get like an oversized edition of this story because like the Alex Ross artwork would look great, blown up larger. So
Yeah. The thing about this story, Kingdom Come is still being expanded on even now. If you guys get a chance, read Batman Superman, The World's Finest by Mark Waid. He expanded even further. He introduced a character. I don't remember his name. It's like I already. It's been a while because I read it not that long ago, but it was because it wasn't that long ago. But what happens is there's some kid who ends up from an alternate reality, ends up on Earth, on the normal Earth. Superman decides he's like, well, maybe he's going to be my sidekick. But Joker tortures him and he sort of becomes a little more unhinged as it happens, and then they finally figure out how to send him back to his original world. But the reveal is that turns out that young man turned out to be Magog.
Oh, are you talking about Boy Thunder?
Yes, Boy Thunder.
Yeah. Okay.
He turns out he was Magog the whole time, and then there's a storyline that happens after that later on that's called Return to Kingdom Come, where it's about Superman and Batman decide they're going to find Boy Thunder, but by the time they find him, he's now like a like early 20s or something, and the Kingdom Come universe has been actually taken over by Gog, who's actually in Thy Kingdom Come.
Right. They had Gog and Magog both.
Yeah, so
that was a good story. I loved
yeah.
Thy Kingdom Come. After rereading Kingdom Come, I really want to go read that sequel to it.
And so if you guys get a chance, also read that other one, because that one's also still a prequel to Kingdom Come itself. Like everything from that Batman Superman stuff is a prequel to Kingdom Come. What's great about it is seeing Superman react to the universe that is Kingdom Come, because they keep getting visions of Kingdom Come proper, and it's funny to see Superman be like, he keeps thinking that Superman gave up on the world, but the opposite happened. The world gave up on Superman. And it makes for a really interesting read. And then it also has an epilogue as well. It has another epilogue. So what happens is that in that storyline, it cuts to after Kingdom Come has happened, and Magog, I think, is at his parents' grave because his parents had died, which is what caused him to get transported to that world. And he's like, and he's asking for forgiveness, and then our Superman shows up and goes like, you've done what you could have done with what you had, and I'm sorry for what happened to you, sort of thing. And you're forgiven, essentially, is what he tells him. It's a great ending to Magog's storyline, in my opinion. If you guys get a chance, I say read them all together, and you're gonna have a very interesting.
That's what I want to do. I want to read the Boy Thunder stuff from World's Finest, and then read Kingdom Come, and then read Thy Kingdom Come, like in that order.
I highly recommend doing all that if you guys ever get a chance. You might have some mixed things depending on what you're expecting out of it, but I still think it's a great time, because it's funny because one side is Alex Ross doing a lot of the stuff, and then one side is Mark Waid doing a lot of stuff. So it's funny that they both expanded on this universe from two opposite angles. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, one did the sequel, one did the prequel.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
Well, yeah, it's definitely Kingdom Come is definitely still like pretty relevant story. Almost 30 years later, I guess they're still milking it for all it's worth.
Very much so. We never talked about the Superman's symbol, of course, is from the storyline. It's not black though, because Superman's symbol is black in the storyline purely because of tragedy reasons, essentially. Mm-hmm. It was a lot of the second half, I feel like, isn't what inspired the movie, though, is the thing. There's not a lot from the second half I could say inspired the movie outside of the government not really liking the idea of what the metahumans are up to.
And I could see there eventually being some DCU movie that does have like some big, some big fallout. Like what if like eventually all the stuff we saw in the Pentagon and Superman? What if eventually that leads to like, okay, the UN has agreed to nuke the metahumans or something like that?
Wait, what was the name of the generals in that scene? I'm looking at that real quick.
Well, it was Rick Flag Sr., and I can't remember the other guy that he was talking to.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember who the other guy's name was, because I'm curious if his name was after any of these people.
I can
find the IMDb for him real quick. Because I know him from Barry. He was in Barry as Barry's friend.
But you like the guy with like the New York accent?
Yeah, he was the Asian actor.
Yeah.
God damn it! I'm trying to find. There it is. Trying to find the actual actor.
Okay. Who can Google it first?
Oh, okay. His name was just General Mori. I was hoping his name was based on General Wormwood here, but I didn't see any other persons with that name.
Well,
I was just hoping they use the name somewhere, but I don't think they did. Because that would have been a hell of a thing to do. Is just name one of them after him. Because there's other people in there, but I don't think they're named after any of them. Outright. But again, we highly highly recommend Kingdom Come. It is one of the most influential comic books of all time, as well as just a really good comic book.
yeah, and some great art, some great Alex Ross art. Well, I guess one of the things he's most well known for.
100%. It's the other book that I would say read if you guys ever get a chance. If you really want some Alex Ross, actually two books. We mentioned them in the last one we did. Is Justice if you want more DC stuff. It's a 12-issue miniseries. It used to be really expensive, but it's actually much cheaper nowadays. It's an entire storyline about the Justice League taking on the Legion of Doom, who has now been like kind of told has somehow been told their secret identities, and so it's like and some people are getting mind controlled. It's a really interesting book. It's Alec Ross's love letter to the Super Friends as well, 100,000%. And then Marvel's we mentioned as well. It's a Marvel book about I forget the reporter's name, but it's about a reporter who basically sees the rise of the superhuman in Marvel, and then kind of gives up once the Silver Age he sees the end of the Silver Age and with his own eyes, and he doesn't really know what to do with himself afterwards. It's still very, very, very good.
That was the end of what Alex Ross cared about in Marvel.
Yes, and and it makes sense too, because a lot of people cite it as the end of the Silver Age, which is the death of Gwen Stacy. And it's interesting to see from the eyes of Alex Ross because of it. The Bronze Age really starts from then on, even like for everyone. Even DC was like, oh, fuck. We're allowed to kill people again? Oh, shit. Okay. I guess we can do that again. So, yeah, that's an interesting thing that happened from then on. He's done quite a few bit of work, though, even ever since then. If you guys get a chance, find the documentary. What was the name of it again?
That is a good question.
I know, yeah, because I remember you had mentioned
I talked about it last week, but yeah, I still haven't seen it. It's a little too expensive for me, but it's like $80 for the Blu-ray. Alex Ross Kingdom Come documentary is called The Legend of Kingdom Come. Okay.
All right, cool. So yeah, I again, if you want to get everything out of it, look up all that stuff, buy the action figures, wear the suits. I 100% recommend it. I don't have anything else outside of that. Read Superman comics. Keep doing it, guys. Green Arrow got canceled recently because of due to poor sales. I don't expect that to happen to Superman, but
readership. Yeah, Superman's probably doing pretty well right now, just with as popular.
Just know, buy your favorite comic books because they can be canceled on a whim due to low sales. So, just important safety tip.
But otherwise, I don't know what we're going to be talking about next, but I definitely, just a reminder to people, Superman is streaming on HBO Max now, so I think it'd be fun to do like a commentary for that movie at some point soon. I also want to talk about the first story arc of Absolute Superman, which just came out in a trade about a month ago. So
yeah, I think doing Absolute Superman's, what's this, the first 6, right, is the first trade? Yeah. We could probably do
first
that.
6 or first 7. Okay, well, let's do that next then.
So that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking forward to that. But I guess that's all we got. So until then, as always, keep it super.